Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first ever episode of Shooting Thoughts with Remington Yates. I am Lewis County Scoop Sports Director Remington Yates. As we get set for this inaugural episode, what is this podcast going to entail? Well, this is a place where I want to be able to get some guests on, and I want to just discuss. I want to shoot our thoughts out there and discuss some things, and I mean, just really just talk about things. We talk about our thoughts and everything like that about certain things going on in our area, and it's mostly going to be sports. It's going to be a lot of sports. We're going to have athletes, we're going to have coaches, we're going to have other members of our media from sports hopefully join us, and just have a lovely time, and just hopefully do this podcast quite frequently. Try and record it, a month or every other week or something. Figuring out the schedule still. But just discuss a lot of what is going on in our area. Um, but today it's just gonna be me, first episode, just me on my own. I'm gonna throw some thoughts out there today and discuss things. And when there's days where I don't have a guest, I'm gonna talk some stuff. But what is today's subject? What are we going to talk about today? There's a lot we can talk about. There's a lot as the basketball season has winded down and has come to an end. And there's still some basketball left to be played. Yes, we've still got March Madness. We've still got the NAIA National Tournament, all the other divisions national tournaments. And I love what I'm seeing so far. But it's going kind of in that direction. We're going to talk about playoffs and playoff formats in this inaugural episode. There has been a lot of discussion, a lot of talks. In fact, this year has been the loudest than ever on the complaints of high school playoffs and college playoffs on how they're set up. And it's not just for basketball, it's a lot of the levels. It's a lot of the sports and levels. Like for me, and this is the big one that has been my problem, when you look at a lot of collegiate conference tournaments, most of them allow a team a bye or some kind of a rest where either they're sitting out, and when the actually, like, they have two teams that are playing a play-in round, a lot of teams get a bye pretty much, while these four teams are knocking each other out to figure out who's going to go play the 1 and 2 seeds. And so then the 1 and 2 seeds will then have opponents that are kind of lightened up and, will hopefully beat. My biggest thing is when you look at the heart of America, which is Culver-Stockton College's conference, when you look at how the conference is formatted and how it's going to be formatted next year, St. Ambrose is going to join the conference next year, and that is going to create a total of 16 teams in the conference. 16 teams in the conference. Now, the way the playoff format is set for a lot of the sports in the heart of America is 8 teams are in, and 8 teams will play on that first day. I hate that format. I do. I hate that format. I think that you need a little more than half of your field in. I really do. You need just a little bit more than half your field in, I feel. And it doesn't, I'm not saying, put everybody in, but I'm just saying, add a couple teams. Add 2 teams, have, 10 through 8 play for the play-in round to see who's going to go play 1 and 2. And so then you're going to have a whole bunch of teams that are sitting around waiting to see what's going to happen in these play-in rounds, but they're resting, they're practicing, they're scouting, they're doing what they need to do to get ready for that first official round of playoff basketball. In other words, they get a bit of a bye. But I don't think that it is fair for a playoff format that the 1 and 2 seeds who have played out of their minds all season long, working so hard to get to that level and to maintain that level of play, that they don't get rewarded with a bye. The GLVC does it as well. The 1 and 2 seeds don't get byes. They have to immediately start conference play. And I get you're limited on schedule. You would have to maybe either shorten the season or start the season a little bit earlier to be able to add that extra round of playoff games in. Yes, but at the end of the day, I think it is a better playoff format to go with. Instead of just 8 teams, I say do 10, and if you feel real good about it, maybe do 12. I mean, that's all I'm asking for, 10 or 12. 10 or 12 team playoff format. And so that way, the best teams in the conference can be rewarded for their excellence on their season and get a bit of a bye and not have to worry about, you know, staying perfect throughout. They get a little bit of a rest and can work on what they need to work on. I think that is totally fair for those top teams. And it gives more of a benefit to those top teams. And of course, how the college playoffs work in tech for the NAI, and I'm sure it's the same throughout the rest of the levels, is the number one seed is the regular season champion. They have played outstanding throughout their season, and they win the regular season championship. And thus they win an automatic bid to the national tournament. It's a great way of doing things. And then whoever wins the conference tournament also gets a national championship bid. Now, if the regular season champs win the or the conference tournament as well, then the runner up gets the bid. And I love that format. But again, when you're only doing 8 teams, it's already going to look like 1 and 2 is going to get it. But I just honestly think when you throw in a couple extra teams, it adds a little more flavor. It adds a little more chaos because then those teams, while they're resting and practicing and scouting, they still don't know, though, fully who they're going to play. They've seen them all year long, but they don't know what team they're going to be in the playoffs. And that's the thing is some of these teams might be decent or mid at the regular season, but then you throw that team in a conference tournament or something like that, and they might play really good, and you throw in some chaos, you throw in some madness. I think, again, you need more flavor to the conference playoff tournament at the Heart of America level, and I'll even say the GLVC. I think you are better off that way in setting it up, the conference tournament that way. For soccer, for basketball, for baseball, for softball, which baseball and softball, they do a double eliminator tournament, if I remember correctly, which that gets confusing. I'm sorry, I hate double elimination tournaments at times because they just get confusing for me. But I digress. But yeah, Heart of America, look into it, expand the playoffs. It's time to do it. It's time to expand. You've been at 8 for so long, and now you have doubled the amount of teams, and it's time to add a couple more of the playoffs. It's just time to add 2, add 4. You either make it 12 or make it 10, make it 12. I don't care which you pick, but I just think it is finally time that we expand the conference playoffs. All right? There. I think that went pretty good. I think that is perfectly fine. Next thing, get rid of this points rating system that you all are trying to do. I know the GLVC does it, and the GLVC is considered one of the best conferences at Division II. And I know a lot of people consider the Heart of America one of the toughest conferences at the NAI level. But why are you trying to be like the GLVC? Stop it. Don't try and be like the GLVC. Be the Heart of America. Don't be the GLVC. Be the Heart of America. I don't like when conferences try to take ideas from other conferences. And so I don't like the point rating system just got confusing, especially when we didn't know about it till late in the season and Culver is going on this magnificent run. And then all of a sudden you're hitting us with these point rating systems graphics on your social media. And we're just sitting there going, well, I feel like they should have been like a media release or something like that. And I never saw a thing on the Heart deciding that they were going to do this. It felt like that just one day they woke up during the basketball season and just said, oh, we're doing a point rating system now. And again, I don't get the formula. It's another just confusing thing that basketball fans and just regular sports fans are not going to get. I mean, you can't be sitting here trying to compete with the higher level. I mean, you got to try as best you can to compete with these higher levels and everything like that. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done to make that possible. But it doesn't mean start taking ideas from other conferences and going, let's just throw a dart at a wall and see if this works. I don't know what went into the decision making for the point rating system and why we thought we were going to do it. And so it's not. I don't fully understand it. I don't fully understand why we're going to do this. But I think that we just need to do away with it. I think it's going to be so much better off if you just get rid of it and just go off of the records and keep old tiebreakers, and even then, some of them were confusing to read. Simplify the language of stuff a little bit easier for people. But yeah, other than that, get rid of the points rating systems, expand the playoffs. Last thing I'm going to go on about the Heart of America and the college level is Heart. We have expanded to 16 teams. I think, and this is going to be my compromise. If you want to keep the points rating system, here's what I would do to kind of further fix the way things are. I think you need to introduce divisions at basketball. And like the way I mean is like you have a North Division and a South Division, like you have in football, but I don't think you need a North Division champion and a South Division champion. I think overall there's an overall standing, and whoever wins that overall standing will be the champion, the regular season champion of the conference. But I just think that when you're making schedules, the schedule should be based on the North and South divisions in the cases of who's going to play who twice and stuff like that. I think that's just a better way of doing it. But what do I know? But I think it's just something to introduce and maybe try. I think, you have it for volleyball, you have it for football, you have North and South divisions. And I really think you need to do this for the other sports too, is that way, you're not sitting there trying to scramble a bunch of opponents every year. And some teams are getting, and even then the division stuff hurts. When you got like so many of your teams that are getting national rankings, and then it just so happens the South Division's really good this year, and so people are stuck with a South Division schedule where they're playing a bunch of nationally ranked schools. So it's not perfect, but I just feel like there's some ideas to try and grow the game and grow the experience in the Heart of America that I think just would be better. But again, that's just me, and I digress. Um, yeah, that's really all I've got for the Heart of America and what they're doing. Other than that, do what you do best. You have such great schools, you have such great competition. Um, you really just prove every single year that you are still one of the best conferences in the world, and it's fantastic to watch. And I'm so glad that Culver-Stockton is a part of this conference and can compete against such great schools and help create better people for our communities and for the future of this world. Absolutely fantastic. Um, Next subject. We're staying on playoffs, but now we're going to move to the high school level. Wow, this year has been loud, and whether it's the comments on social media, the videos that I just see on shorts, and just everything that has popped up about this year's playoffs, mainly in Missouri. Misha has got to figure something out. There has been so much criticism to the Missouri State High School Athletics Association. It has been loud, it has been noisy, and Misha is in the crosshairs of all of the criticisms. It's, and I'm not going to sit here and get political about the whole situation of the state. I'm just going to say I don't like it. I don't like what they are trying to do. I don't think we need them. I don't think we need politicians and government involved in another thing. They need to focus on what they've got right now and not worry about this. That's it. But Misha and the governing body of schools and people that are supposed to be the oversight of Misha have got to really have a lot of discussion over the summer. There needs to be a lot of discussion about what needs to change. This year, louder than ever, has been the question about what should be done for private schools after some of the games that we have seen in the state tournaments that have come out of Misha. Some of the scores that have come out to where a lot of teams that people want to see in the Final Four that are typically, top teams in the men's or the Missouri Basketball Coaches Association state rankings, that a lot of these teams have to knock each other out to get to the state tournament. And so then the teams that were like, oh, this would be a great state championship game, all have to knock each other out just to get to the state championship. And so then you get some of these teams that they got every business to be there, but if they had if the brackets were different, their chances go drastically down. You look at the way Class 3 went, and I think, every school played fantastic for Class 3 all the way as far as they could. But the scores that were coming out of some of these brackets, and even then when you look at the state tournament through classes 1 through 3 this past weekend, it's been kind of disgusting to look at. And so now, louder than ever, the discussion of, well, should there be reseeding? Should private schools be thrown in their own state championship? Should what do we do? What do we do about this? Do we redo the classifications? Do we put in boosters? What do we do? And it's just, you look at it and go, what is the correct answer? God, it's hard. It's hard to look at it and go, what's the right answer for fixing the problems of the state tournament? For me personally, I don't fully feel that you have to separate the public and private schools. I still feel like you can keep them together. I think about lost my train of thought here. When you look at what happened, and I don't want to try and sound like a sour loser and bring up Principia, but you look at the way Principia's season went. The girls' regular season schedule has them only playing 2 Class 3 schools from Missouri in their regular season. And one of them was the team they played in the state final game, which was St. Vincent. 2. They only played 2 schools in their same class in the regular season, and they beat both of them handily. The boys, they only played one. They only played one Class 3 Missouri school on their regular season schedule. They play on the regular Class 4, Class 5, Class 6 schools. And they're winning those games handily. And they're playing schools in other states and winning handily. And it's just, you sit there and you look at it, and the boys last year won the state tournament. They beat Kip Casey Legend. And if I remember correctly, when I was looking at this year, Kip Casey Legend, I'm pretty sure, or Kip Casey Legacy, they got boosted up a class this year. Yeah, they went from Class 3 to Class 5, and they were the runner-ups against Principia. So explain to me how the Principia boys last year didn't get boosted up for winning. But the team, the Kip Casey Legacy Charter School, home of the Gators, got jumped up 2 classes, but the private school that just won the state championship doesn't? It didn't make sense for me, especially at the start of the basketball season when they came out with the class rankings. And then the girls stayed, and they were the runner-ups last year, where they lost to a very good Fairgrove. Fairgrove had been good for like the last 3 years in Misha. They have been very good the past few years, and this year they were very much, they were nowhere to be seen, it felt like. And and that's what happens when you go. That's just, it's the waves of high school sports. You're good if you're a team that's going to be good for a few years. You're going to be good for a few years, but eventually you got to graduate all that talent and all that camaraderie and teammate and friendship and all that. You're going to graduate all of that, and you're eventually, like with high school sports, you're eventually going to have to start over, and that's the way it is with the public school system. The private school system has a lot of flaws, the biggest one being the recruiting field. When private schools are allowed to recruit, it allows them to constantly build a roster and continue to have the key players that they need every single year. You're pretty much got a college team at the high school level. And And I give credit to both these teams. They're very, very good teams. But again, I don't feel they should have been in Class 3. And I said it from the start of the season, and I said it all the way to the end of the season. I just did not feel that they had any rights to be in Class 3. I feel they should have been boosted to 4, 5, maybe even 6 because they were winning some big games against some Class 6 schools. They proved that they were, in fact, the number one school in Class 3 because that was the ranking they were given. That was the class they were giving. But I feel they could have even been the number one team in the state for Class 4, Class 5, even maybe Class 6. So again, Misha has so much to sit down and look at. And it does not help that again, and I hate that it's the situation that's going to finally cause us, is that you are under a microscope of the state government. It's the fact that this year, more than ever, I have heard so many complaints and discussions from parents, players, coaches, from not just here, but around the entire state, have complained about the situations that we have been stuck in with the way scorings and stuff have been in our high school playoffs here in Misha. And then you go into, well, what do we do about those lopsided scores in the Final Four where we get teams that people feel shouldn't be there? I've said they just got the luck of the draw and they deserve to be there because they got luck. They won some hard fought games because guess what? You win a district, you earn your chance to make it to the state tournament. And if you survive the sectional and the quarterfinal rounds, you deserve to make it to the Final Four. But let's be honest, if the brackets were a little different, if there was reseeding, which a lot of people are pushing for, then maybe, just maybe, things would be a lot different. And now we go into this discussion. What do we do? Do we do a reseed? Well, then a lot of teams are going to have to travel a little further, maybe, or find a lot of middle of the state neutral sites in case you get a Northeast Missouri team and a Southwest Missouri team that have to meet up somewhere. Well, probably Jeff City, Columbia, something like that for them. That's pretty even for both of them. Um, you know, it's you got to and again, I'm not trying to fully be a problem solver here. I'm just trying to throw some ideas out there. I'm trying to find something to help the ball move, to help create good, heartfelt discussion about what needs to be done here. I'm shooting my thoughts out there and I want to see what you all have to say and hear what I've got to say about the situation. And I think that with Misha going back to neutral site games being for the for the sectional and quarterfinal rounds, then I think that Misha has got to put it in motion about reseeding. Now, how do you decide the reseeding? Well, it's a lot of discussion going to have to be had. Do you go off the state rankings? Well, what happens about teams that aren't in the state rankings that make it through the district rounds? What happens if a team upsets a state ranked team? We've seen it happen this year. A couple state ranked teams got upset in their district rounds. So, I mean, you got to look at the discussion and figure out how do we reseed? How do we figure out what's going to be fair for everybody? How do we figure out what's going to be the right bracket setup? It's going to be a lot of discussion. And again, I think Misha has got to get the ball rolling. And I think a lot of parents, teachers, athletic directors, students, a lot of these people have got to start discussing this and figuring it out because this is the point in time where we can start being leaders of our youth and even our youth could start learning how to be leaders by now discussing and trying to find a solution to the problem that is the Missouri State playoffs. We've got to figure it out because this year has been louder than ever on the complaint side of things. I haven't been as vocal. I still feel like no matter what, it's going to be what we have. But it's just this year has been so loud, whereas, the past couple of years, you don't hear a lot out of what the IHSA does. There's some complaints, and you could go watch, you could go listen to what Shuckman and Dewar and all those people that cover the IHSA will say about it, but they've got their complaints about things as well. Um, yeah, I think there's a lot. There is never truly a perfect playoff situation. There's never a perfect playoff rule setting setup. There's just not. But I still feel like there can be attempts to try and make it better. to where you can please most people. You're not going to make everybody happy. There's just no way. But I think that there needs to be at least an attempt, especially after the way this year has unraveled and the way the discussion has been, because it has not been very positive. It has not. So there's a lot of discussion that needs to be done. Um, but yeah, we'll go back to this. I still don't think that private and public schools need to be separated. Now, here's why. Here's why I don't feel it. If you take the private schools and separate them from the public schools, well, then what do you do to the number of state tournament games that you're going to have? You're going to increase how many state championship games you're going to have. And so, what does that mean? The playoff seasons are going to be longer. Who's going to get to play first? Or how, you know, Michigan's going to have so much more on their hands to deal with at the end of the season. What are the solutions then? That we can keep the public schools and the private schools together and it won't affect much. You got to find some more common ground rules to keep people at a more even pace. Um, And one of the things that I see most is the boosters. You got to throw on boosters on some of these private schools. Um, and there needs to be more discussion. There's more I need to look at personally to figure out what can we do, what's going to be better, what's going to be worse. Just stuff like this that to get the ball rolling and get the discussion moving to try and fix the situation that is this year. Um, but yeah, I want to see your all's thoughts. I want to see your all suggestions. I want to see what the people of our area have to say about what we can do to kind of fix not just high school playoffs, college playoffs. I mean, what are some of your biggest complaints about a playoff format? And we could do every level: pro, college, high school, youth. I mean, just any kind of complaint you have about the playoffs, put it out there and put out what you think should be done. I don't want to see, just, well, I just don't like this. Okay, well, I get you don't like this, but why don't you like this? And what do you think should be done to make it better? I want to see some good discussion in the comment section, but and I'll even get in on some of the conversation and try and help figure out, solutions to a lot of our problems. But I think that, at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done. It's it's hopefully going to be discussed and it's going to be worked on over the summer. And, hopefully by next school year or the following school year, some change might happen and things might look a little better. Um, and so, yeah, but all the best to all the people at Misha who work very hard to put together these playoffs and to, put together every year at least, a governed high school body that regulates everything to the best of their ability. And, you can't just make changes right in the middle of the season, and again, great credit to Misha for, you know, making the right decision that they did with the controversy that came between the Highland and Principia game. It was incredible. It was an incredible moment for everybody and both teams. Credit to both teams this year. Had an incredible season. Credit to all the schools this year for all the season, that they've battled through, all the student athletes and everything for this basketball season. Um, but now we march on to the spring. I'm excited. It's going to be baseball time. It's hockey playoffs are coming around the corner, literally right around the corner, it feels like. Um, Baseball at the professional and high school and the collegiate, we've already gotten started because we started that back in like February, which is still maddening that we play baseball in February. I mean, I don't know who thinks of that. And I know there's a couple coaches out there that's going to agree with me. I know there's some of our area coaches that are going to agree with me about baseball being played in February and being played in the wintertime. Love those coaches. They're great. I love seeing their stuff on social media when they talk about that kind of stuff. And maybe we get them on and we discuss how do we fix the baseball format? How do we fix the baseball scheduling and figure out the best way? You know what? And I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna reach out to some of those coaches. Maybe we'll get them live in studio or something like that, and we'll do something. But other than that, I think great discussion today. Even though it was just myself, and I hope to see some great conversation in the comment section about what you all think needs to be done or what you all would suggest be done. And again, keep it formal, keep it respectful, keep it heartfelt, and just show great community and great discussion. All right. Thank you all so much for joining me on this first episode of Shooting Thoughts with Remington Yates. I'm once again Lewis County Scoop Sports Director Remington Yates. Make sure to check out all the articles and everything coming out on the website or on our social media. And I thank you all again. Good night, everybody.